So here we are. I've got my second TM6. It's arrived, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to just go through the setting up and unboxing with you as a little bit of a guide in case you miss something or you're a remote customer that I can't get to. Okay, so I've taken it out of the box. The Thermomix comes double boxed, so there's a box within a box, and in the second box you've got a box of accessories which is on the top. You should have a copy of the basic cookbook, the Thermomix, and also an instruction manual. So I'll let that unwrap this little baby. Take off the plastic wrapping. Just being careful of the feet. I'll just push that out of the way and pop it down onto the bench. So I'm going to plug it straight in. So I just stretch the cord, and you turn the Thermomix on just by pressing the universal controller on the right hand side of the unit. So this is going to take just a few minutes to fire up. It's the first time it's been initialized, so the software is going to take a little while to get set up. You'll get a little circle on the screen with a picture of a Thermomix, and a green line will start to just go around the outside edge of that circle. So if I'm doing a delivery in home, at this point I would just go through the accessories and check that everything is present in the box. So you should have a Varoma. So this is your Varoma lid. Inside the Varoma you'll find your spatula. Spatula is great, it's got soft edges. This guard is designed so that when you put the spatula through the hole in the lid, which you sometimes need to do to help with chopping and things like that, it stops the blade from touching the spatula. What else? Splash guard. So this is something that you'll use with high heat. This will sit on top of the lid. The butterfly whisk, so you're going to use this for making meringues, whisking cream, whipping cream, in some cake mixtures, all sorts of things. So this is the Varoma dish, the measuring cup. So the measuring cup doesn't fall out of the TM6 lid. It sits in snugly with the two little silicone lugs there. It does mean that you have to either pull it towards you or push it away from you and tilt to get it out of the lid. It also directs the steam. There's a little ridge around the edge of the measuring cup here and spaces at the front where the pouring spout is. So that means that the steam will come out primarily in that direction. So you can direct it away from you or to the side. Might be useful if you've got your Thermomix under some cupboards. Okay, so my Thermomix is actually logged in, but in the delivery setup process, once it has gone round that little circle on the screen, it will then take you to choose your language, and just press the next button in the corner once you've selected English Australian. It already knows that you're in Australia. So again, just press next in that top right hand corner. It will then ask you for your Wi-Fi network and to insert a password. Make sure you know which is your network, and then just enter your password and it will connect to the Wi-Fi. Again, tap the next in the top right hand corner there and it will take you to your Cookie-Do login. So hopefully you will already have signed up for the 30-day trial with Cookie-Do. And you really need to do that on the website, not on the app, because the app seems to think that you're in the United States and it causes a few issues. So always register for Cookie-Do on the website, cookiedoo.com.au. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. Just give them your email address and set up a password. They don't take any card details, so that I always think is a good thing. And when it comes to renew your subscription in 7 months' time, then you'll have to enter some card details then. So Cookie-Do is currently $49 per year, which is just less than $1 a week. You'll get 6 months free with your Thermomix, of course, as well. So it's a total of 7 months free. so that you can trial it and see how you go with it. Go through some safety instructions on the screen. So just read through those. It's only 10 little steps. They're all pretty logical. You know, don't put your Thermomix on an open heat source, about burning yourself with steam and things that get hot. Making sure that you don't overfill the bowl or the simmering basket, which fits inside of the bowl. And we'll go through those things a little bit later when we talk about the safety things. So then once all of that is done, you end up with your Thermomix on with its home screen, which is time, temperature, and speed. But let's just talk about placement of your Thermomix first. So your Thermomix needs to be put on a flat, clean surface. And Thermomix don't recommend putting it on a glide, but that is an option. I used to have mine on a glide because it was nice and easy to just move it backwards and forwards and slide it. The reason that we don't want you to drag your Thermomix across the bench is that the scales are in the feet. There's 1 foot at the front and 2 feet at the back. So your scales are built into those feet. So you don't want to be dragging your Thermomix across the bench because over time that's going to affect your scales. So if you do need to move it, just lift it and put it down again. Okay, so your scales, we can test their accuracy when you first get your Thermomix. If you slide over from your home screen, the first mode you'll see are scales. You just pop the measuring cup on. It's usually between about 82 and 84 grams. So 83 grams, that's perfect. So I know my scales are pretty good. So the cable needs to be out the back and relaxed. You don't want the cable to be bunched up and you don't want it to be under the machine, because if the cable goes under the machine, or if anything else rolls under the machine, like a spatula handle or a pen, then potentially that can affect your scales, because anything that affects the downward motion of the Thermomix when it's measuring will affect the scales. So the cable, if you have something placed on the cable at the back, you'll see that that will also change the weight of the scales. So whenever you're cooking, just make sure the cable is out the back, it's resting, there's nothing on top of it, and then your scales won't change during your cook. Safety. The bowl comes with internal markings, 500 mils a litre, 1.5 litres, 2 litres. And then there's a maximum mark here. That's 2.2 litres, which is the capacity of your bowl. The markings are also on the outside there as well. So when you're cooking a liquid in particular, you don't want to go past that maximum fill line. If you're making the veggie stock paste, for example, you might have veggies in there and your herbs, fresh herbs on the top, and you might think, oh, that's a bit above the maximum, but there's a lot of air in those cut up veggies. So it's really a liquid level that you need to be most mindful of in terms of maximum fill. And it is really important, because if you go above that maximum fill, then potentially you can get an overspill of ingredients onto the lid. The pins underneath the Thermomix must be dry. So if you've washed it in the dishwasher or by hand, then always make sure those pins are dry before you reinsert it into the base unit. There are 2 handles on your bowl. This top handle is really good for taking it in and out. You want to be lifting it straight up and putting it straight in. Don't be tempted to lift it and try and bend it this way in order to get it out, because those pins are straight. So we want them to go straight into the holes and straight out again. This handle is really good when you want to pour or you want to scrape with your spatula. So top handle is much better for in and out. Bottom handle, great when you're doing things in the bowl. Talking about the spatula and the bowl, the knife, the blade has got a sharp side and a blunt side. So depending upon which way it's rotating, it will either really chop food or it will stir. So the reverse is used when you want to stir without chopping. If you go into the bowl and stir clockwise, then you're going against the blunt side of the blade. So always try and go clockwise with your spatula. You know, it's impossible not to go the other way sometimes just to scrape things out. But if you can go clockwise, most of the time you're going to save the edge of your spatula from getting little nicks from the blade. You can get replacement spatulas, of course, so it's not the end of the world. But if you can make it last a bit longer by going clockwise, then that's a good thing. Also, if you're wiping your bowl going clockwise, it's going to take your cloth against the blunt side of the blade. So always go clockwise when you're doing anything in the bowl, and then you've got the blunt side of the blade. The arms, the locking arms, mean that the Thermomix won't do anything at all without those arms being locked. So you can't possibly have your hand or anything untoward happening with the blades without the lid being locked. So if I just take this to home and just start a very slow stir, that's the spoon. The arms come over before the machine starts. Whenever you want to stop your machine, whether it's doing something in the middle of something, or you just want to stop it and take a look, just press the selector there, it stops and the arms open so you can access the bowl again. You can add ingredients through the hole in the lid, but I actually prefer to take the lid off. I'm a bit messy, so it means I get less mess on the lid if I take it off. When you do take it off, you can turn it over with the measuring cup in, pop it down on your bench, and it keeps the mess in the lid and not on your bench. The spatula also has a similar function. This guard, it's great for cracking eggs, by the way. When you pop that down on your bench, it keeps the blade of the spatula off the bench, so it helps to keep your bench clean. So the simmering basket is a steaming attachment, as we've said. Just fits into the bowl of the Thermomix. You need 500 mils of water to steam, and if for every 15 minutes extra you want to steam, it's another 250 mils. All of this is in your basic cookbook. And because it's a steaming attachment, it's obviously going to have hot food and steam when it's finished. So use your spatula as a handle for your simmering basket. There's a little notch in your spatula, and there's a notch just where the hinge is on your simmering basket. So the simmering basket is useful for lots of other things. And you know, some of these things we can go through when you have a cooking experience, a follow-up cooking experience. The Varoma is another steaming system. So this sits on top of your lid without the measuring cup in. The base of the Varoma has got holes. It's great for draining pasta and other things too, so you can use this as a sieve. This is the dish shaped quite deep. It will take a whole chicken or a joint of meat. You can make your yogurt in the Varoma. You can steam cheesecakes and all sorts of things. So it's a really useful attachment that's possibly the most underused. So I really like to do a follow-up cook with my customers, just using the Varoma in a couple of different ways, just to show you how versatile it is. The tray that fits in the Varoma is also really useful for layered cooking. With layered cooking, you can have several things going on at once. You could have firmer vegetables in the dish, like carrots and potatoes, and you could have more delicate vegetables, asparagus, peas, broccolini in the top, or you could have protein on the top. You could have some chicken or some prawns. And that's the lid. So that would be the whole unit. You'd be generating steam in the bowl. Steam will come up through the hole in the lid and into your Varoma. The lid is a loose fitting lid. You don't want any pressure to build up, and there are some holes here to allow the steam to escape. But once the machine is finished cooking, open the lid away from you so that you're not allowing that steam to hit your face. So open the lid away from you, shake off the moisture that's on it, and then just put it underneath the Varoma dish, and that way you're going to collect all your drips into the lid and not all over your Thermomix or your bench. And the splash guard, this is for use with high heat. So that sits on top of your lid, and there are a couple of little wings on the side. So when that is in use, the arms will come over and lock the splash guard into place. The splash guard allows steam to escape. So that means you're not steaming your vegetables in the bowl. It also protects from any potential splashes from hot fat. So the high heat mode, which is new to the TM6, takes the temperature up to about 160, 170 degrees. You're actually frying and browning your ingredients in the bowl. You can't select high heat as a mode by itself, but you can use it within the high heat basics collections. And if it's in a cookie dough recipe, it will just come up automatically. Your butterfly is a whisking attachment. So you'll use this to whip up cream, make your beautiful meringues. And it does pop up sometimes in other recipes when you're making maybe a cake dough or something like that, or a batter. So this fits just on top of the nut, on top of the blade, just fits on top. If you put it on in between the blades, but turn it clockwise so that it looks as if it's up against the blade, it then doesn't pull off quite so easily. If it's just in between the blades, it pulls off really easily. So I always feel that it's that little bit more secure if I turn it clockwise against the blade. Okay, so there's another important thing with the butterfly. It's a maximum speed of 4. So if you're using a guided recipe, something in cookie dough, then it will never go above speed 4. But if you just suddenly decide, oh, I want to whip some cream to go with my mince pies or whatever, it's maximum speed 4. And I always remember that by the 4 segments of a butterfly wing. So maximum speed 4. If it goes higher than that, it's like to just fly off and may get a little bit chunked. There are replacement items that you can get from the mix shop. So it's not the end of the world, but you really don't want to spoil your food by having a chopped up butterfly in there as well. The other thing we need to just show you is how you take the bowl blade and lid set apart. So underneath you'll see that there's a little space that you can put your fingers in. On the side here you'll see some ridges which you can use as a bit of a grip for your thumb. So with your hand in this position you can just twist the base and the bowl in opposite directions. So to put the bowl blade lid set back together, you put the handle to the right of the lip there and twist it clockwise. So it's anti-clockwise for the bowl to open, clockwise to close. Once you've got your base separated from the bowl, you can then take out your blade. So the blade has got 2 sides. It's got a sharp side and a blunt side. Pretty easy to see which is the blunt side because it's quite thick there. And it's also got a seal, and it's important that that seal is on your blade. So you activate, when you activate reverse, you're actually stirring with the blunt side of the blade against the food. So to pop it back in, there's a hole in the base of your bowl. Just pop your blade in so that it fits snugly against the base. Pop your bowl so that the handle is just to the right of this lip here. Fingers in and just click it into place. So there should be no rattle, no looseness. It should all fit snugly together. And of course, always check that your pins are dry before you pop it back into the cradle. Okay, so we've covered the basics of the Thermomix. Let's just talk about cleaning. So everything is dishwasher safe except, of course, for your white base unit. I like to just keep my base unit clean with a microfiber cloth. And it does have a little hole in the bottom of the base here so that you can brush crumbs through. You can also get just a cloth in and around on the inside, or use a brush to brush things. These arms you can rub a cloth through, or again use a little brush. And the screen, just a microfiber cloth. It does like to be clean, the screen. And in order actually to help you keep it clean, if you've got messy fingers, you know, as I say, I'm a bit of a messy cook, instead of tapping the screen to change the icon, so you can do that also with the select button. So I can just move the highlighted icon across. So with basics, when you turn your Thermomix on, you always get the home screen. Time, temperature, and speed. So time on the TM6 can extend to lots of hours because it is also a slow cooker, and the fermentation mode means that you can be fermenting something overnight. But you can select the time, you can select temperature. Temperature is either no temperature set or goes from 37, 40, and then 5-degree increments up to 120. If you keep going, after 120, you get varoma, which is creating enough steam to cook by. It's not a set temperature, so it depends what's in the bowl. As long as it's detecting enough steam, it'll just stop at whatever temperature that is required for that. So that's varoma. The speed goes from a very gentle stir, the spoon symbol, and it goes right up to speed 10. So you're going through stirring, you'll start to chop, you chop more finely, then you can go to grinding and milling, and 10 is your top speed. So you can grind your own coffee beans, you can make your own almond flour, you can make your own flours from the actual grains. So there's lots of things that you can do with the top milling speed. You can grate things like chocolate and cheese, all sorts of things, really. So you've got a whole range of speeds, and in combination with the amount of time that you select and the speed, you're going to do various things. You know, you can chop finely or chop coarsely, and if there's a temperature involved, obviously there's some cooking as well. So you can't select a temperature without a time and a speed. It won't let you just heat the bowl on its own, and you can't cook, you can't have heat applying above speed 6. So speed 6 is the maximum whilst you're cooking as well. If you swipe this way, you've got all of your automatic modes. The scales can be just used as a pair of scales at any time in your kitchen. During a recipe, they will come up automatically. You can choose to use them within a recipe if you're looking at what's coming next and you want to weigh your next ingredient. Just cancel the scale with the little cross in the corner. You've got a dough mode for kneading, a turbo, which is a short burst of very high speed, pre-clean for settings for pre-cleaning your Thermomix, depending upon what you've been cooking. There's dough universal, flattened caramel, and browning. The instructions are actually on the screen before you enter the actual mode. So once you know about them, you can just cancel that and it doesn't show you them every time. An automatic blend, so you can just throw things in and blend them for a smoothie or a smoothie bowl or a soup or some baby food. Egg boiler is a very simple but very useful mode. You can just put your eggs in, select the level of doneness that you want, and off it goes. So you're not timing it, you're not worrying, watching it on the stove. So yeah, egg boiler is actually really good. There's a kettle mode for heating up a liquid to whatever temperature you select. So you can boil water to make a cup of tea. You can take water to 80 for green tea. You can heat milk or something up to 40 degrees for a warm drink for your child or infant. Warm up is another warming up mode. So this, you can select the temperature again, but it's for food, whether it's soup, a casserole, curry, or whatever, pasta dish even. You can either have it in the bowl and take it out from the fridge, or you can put your food back into the bowl, select the temperature that you want, and it'll just warm it up. It's a very slow stir. It takes a little bit longer than a quick microwave warm up, but it's an even temperature. The microwave, which I only tend to use my microwave for a few things, and warming up is one of them, or has been. You get a really hot ring on the outside and it can still be cold in the middle. So although this might take a few minutes longer, it's actually a more even heating and it doesn't burn. So, and it's great that you can select a temperature, that that your child's not going to burn their mouth, or your elderly parent or whatever. It's going to be a perfect temperature for them. The thicken mode is for making your custards, your sauces like hollandaise, béarnaise sauce, and for curds, lemon curd, lime curd, berry curds, all those things are just so easy. Throw everything in and the Thermomix just adjusts the temperature and the speed as it goes along and gives you perfect results every time. The rice cooker mode for different kinds of rice, some different grains. That's cooking by the absorption method rather than steaming. You can still steam your rice, of course. Fermentation, making yogurt and other fermented foods. Slow cooker, so you now can cook up to 8 hours in your Thermomix using it just like a slow cooker. And sous vide, so you can use it as a sous vide machine, which is just cooking food under vacuum in a plastic bag. The blade cover, that is an optional accessory, is really useful for those last two modes. If you're going to sous vide or slow cook, then it means you can sous vide in the bowl rather than just in the simmering basket, so it gives you bigger capacity. And if you're slow cooking, then the blade cover allows you to, well, it prevents the food from breaking up too much. You know, if you're slow cooking with stirring for 8 hours, and depending upon the kind of meat you've got in there, but some meats will break up and become more like a pulled meat. I over slow cooked my lamb curry the other day, and it was delicious, but I lost a lot of my chunks of meat into strands of meat. So the blade cover is an optional accessory that you might consider getting down the track. Okay, let's just go back to our home screen. So from the modes, this little house will always take you back to your home screen. So wherever you are on your Thermomix, the little house will take you back to your home screen, time, temperature, and speed. On the speed dial, I forgot to mention that this little 4-bladed icon, it activates reverse. So if you need reverse when you're cooking manually to stop pureeing something, you just want to stir it rather than chop it, then you select reverse. It will come up automatically in the Cookie Do recipes that are guided cooking. So everything in guided cooking just comes up automatically. Scales, reverse, modes, just makes it so easy. So let's have a little look at the guided cooking platform. That's Cookie Do. So if you slide the other way, you'll get your Cookie Do. So you can, from this screen, search, and you can search recipes, you can search collections. The Thermomix won't allow you to save on itself. If you want to save and create your own playlists, you can do that on your phone, tablet, or computer. And you can save collections, so you can search recipes, collections, or articles. And Cookie Do contains so much more than just recipes. It's got lots of videos, tutorials, articles. You know, there's lots of interesting things on there. It's just like a magazine, really, as well as a recipe platform. If you search recipes, you've come up with some suggestions. So let's just go with chicken. And there's a whole load of recipes that it's come up with. You'll see the star rating and how long each recipe takes. By each recipe, there are 3 little dots. If I press on the dots, I'm going to have a look at that chicken and spinach lasagna. That sounds nice. It comes up with options of cooking today, bookmarking, and adding to a shopping list. So if I want to keep that to look at it later, I can just bookmark it, and then it's under bookmarks on my machine. It is saved to the machine. If I put it in Cook Today, it is also saved to my machine for today. On my other devices, I can add it to my week, so I can plan it for tomorrow or the weekend or whatever. I can plan when I want to cook it. And I can also add it to my shopping list on those devices as well. So you can create shopping lists, and then you can even send the shopping list to Woolies for delivery, or you could do click and collect with online shopping. Menu planning and the shopping list function is one way you can really easily save time, money, and waste. You know, you're reducing waste by not impulse buying and ending up with stuff in your fridge or freezer that, you know, goes out of date. So yes, planning at least a few meals a week is definitely going to help with your budget. Thermomix also allows you to repurpose food. You know, if you've got some bolognese sauce left over, you can just blitz it and use it as pizza sauce. There's all sorts of things you can do with leftovers with the Thermomix as well. And any veggies that are going a little bit soft, I just throw in the freezer to make my veggie stock paste. So if I wanted to cook that, if I wanted to cook it, I would just tap on it, it'll come up on the screen. I can say start cooking, or I can scroll down, see how much prep time. This is going to be 15 minutes on the machine. It's going to take 1 hour and 15 minutes in total. So it's going to give me 1 hour of free time. It tells you all the preparation steps. the ingredients, it gives you utensils, and it gives you all your nutritional information, which I know a lot of people are really pleased about because it's just there and available should you want to look, see how many calories are in it, how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat. So the nutritional information for every recipe is on the screen as well. And if you just start cooking, it then takes you step by step. So if you just go next, do what it says on the screen, next, do what it says on the screen, and so on. So it's as easy as that. If I go back to home, the bookmark is there, so I can go back to the recipe. If I want to bring up the scales, I can do that. These 3 dots here also allow me to look at the recipe details, so I can see what's coming next. And if I need to wait, I can bring up the scales. If I'm only doing part of a recipe, I can cancel it from that screen as well. To continue, I just tap continue, or when it's actually doing something, you'll see a status bar at the top. You can tap on that as well. Okay, so let me just cancel that recipe. So say I want to use turbo, and I could be doing that actually whilst I'm in a recipe as well, particularly if you've got a second bowl and I forgot to grate my cheese or something like that. You can take your second bowl, put it on. With turbo, you can adjust the time 1/2, 1 or 2 seconds, and then you just tap the icon, turn, to select just a little bit to activate them. Once it's done its thing, it will just sit there. And I did have one customer who said, I can't get, what's happened to my Thermomix, it's just frozen. When you're using a mode like this, you always have to go back to home. So always go home. If there's you think, oh, something peculiar is happening, it's not doing anything, just go to home, and then you're back into control. On this home screen again, you've got 3 lines on the left, and those take you to my recipes, my week, recently cooked, settings, and help. So within my recipes, your basic cookbook that you get with your machine will already be preloaded, so that is in there. Those cookbooks are all in alphabetical order, so it makes it a bit easier to search for the recipe you're looking for. If I've bookmarked anything, I can just go into bookmarks and access the recipe from there. I've got lots of bookmarks. The collections I've created, so I've created my own playlists and grouped recipes into desserts, or I've got one of my favorite collections is easy 30-minute meals. So, and I've got a must try, which gets bigger and bigger. But you can create your own collections, call them whatever you like, my favorites, your favorites, whatever. And then you can just access those from that screen. Again, they're in alphabetical order. And my saved collections, these are, when I've searched on Cookie Do, I've used the drop-down menu to choose collections. So I've saved whole cookbooks and some of the smaller collections that are available, covering all sorts of things. And they're always bringing out new collections. So that's one of the great things about the Cookie Do. You're not having to buy any cookbooks anymore. And every time a new cookbook comes out, it's immediately on your Thermomix. Okay, so those are my saved collections. Now, when you get a Thermomix, in order to use some of the modes we saw on this screen, you need to download and save some of the relevant collections. So those would be rice and grains, thickening with TM6, high heat basics, onions, high heat basics, meat and seafood, high heat basics, vegetables. There are also collections on using the fermentation mode, making yogurt, slow cooking with and without the blade cover, and sous vide. But there are lots of collections out there to help you, and some of the functions, if you want to use them manually, you will need those collections saved onto your Thermomix. So I usually send out an email with links to all of the collections that you'll find useful, so you don't have to worry about remembering them. Just give me a nudge if I haven't done it with you already. Those 3 lines, if you cook something, you'll get recently cooked. So that chicken and spinach lasagna I just started is now in recently cooked. And that's actually a good way of saving a recipe easily if you're not ready to cook it then. You don't want to cook today, but you might want to cook it in the next week or so. If you just press start cooking, then it will get saved into recently cooked, whether you've started the recipe or not. So then it's there on your machine. So that's another way of saving things that you're interested in. In settings, you've got your language, country, Wi-Fi is connected, your Cookie-Do account details, sounds. So this is an important one because so many people get a bit annoyed with their continuous tone that's telling you, I've done that bit, give me some attention. You can, in sounds, adjust the volume of that tone, and you can also change it from unlimited, which will just go on and on and on, down to 10 seconds. So I would definitely recommend that you do that. The volume of the next button I like to keep so that I can hear it, because very occasionally, if your fingers are a little bit arthritic like mine are getting, you can double tap or you can miss it. So you can hear that sound or not hear the sound. So you've missed a step or skipped a step. Okay, so that's sound. And the display, you can adjust the brightness. It comes at a pretty decent brightness. I think it's always it's comfortable for me. But if you were to take it outside by the barbecue, it's a bit brighter. You might actually want to turn the screen brightness up so you can see it more clearly. All we have to do now is to start cooking. So before you do anything with your Thermomix, when you get a new one, just give your bowl a rinse. It's going to be clean, but it's always a good idea to just give it a quick rinse. And the same with your accessories as well, just to make sure that there's no residue, it's all clean and ready to go. The first thing we traditionally make is a vegetable stock paste. And if I just go search on my Thermomix, it's always in the top of what comes up. So if you just press search, it will just come with loads of recipes for you to browse. But at the top, some of the most commonly used recipes are there already. Banana bread. Banana bread is really quick and easy, and it's delicious. Vegetable stock paste and pizza dough. So there you go. Those are always there, just pressing the search. There are so many ways that you can save money with a Thermomix. I know it's not high on a lot of people's priorities, but for those who do need to work to a budget, then you can make banana bread. I haven't worked out the actual cost, but it's for a few dollars, and it's using bananas that have gone past the best, the ones that your kids probably won't eat anyway. But I used to, when my kids were little, buy those pre-packaged slices of banana bread. And, when you work out the difference in cost, it's amazing. So there are lots and lots of ways of saving money with your Thermomix. And if that's important to you, even now you've got your Thermomix, you've made that decision, consultants are always happy to go through, what's in your shopping basket and how you can make that and save the money. Yogurt, for example, is another really good one for saving money. So you can make your yogurt for the cost of the milk, basically, maybe $1.50 per litre or kilo, and against $5 and upwards probably in the shops. All right, well, happy Thermomixing. As a consultant, we're always here to help you. It's really important for us that you do keep in touch and allow us to help you moving forward. Delivery now, because there's just so much potential in your Thermomix. The first delivery is just going to cover some safety, setup, and getting cooking, first cook. But we love to come back and do follow-up cooks with you using things that you might be interested in but haven't had a chance or don't understand how to use, like your Varoma, the sous vide function, fermentation. Even if you're a bit unsure about how you cook fish, or you've never made a curry or the curry pastes. A lot of people really enjoy being able to make those things from scratch. Peanut butter, your nut milks, all of those sort of things you can make completely additive free in your Thermomix. And that, I know for some, it's really, it's a real plus to having a Thermomix. So we come back and do things that are specific to you. The other things that we like to try and cover with you are menu planning, advanced Cookie-Do, because there's so much you can do with Cookie-Do, and Cookie-Do is changing. There's a new version coming out at the end of this month, November 2021, whereby you're going to be able to upload your own recipes, make notes on existing recipes, upload recipes into recipe community. So it's going to make a huge difference to some people. A lot of people have really wanted those capabilities on CookieDo, but you need to know how to do it to benefit from it. So we'd like to try and go through that with you. And what else? Oh, converting your own recipes. So in order to get your recipe into Thermomix version, there are some tips and tweaks and tricks to doing that. So we'd like to go through that with you as well. At any of the sessions from your delivery through your follow-up cooks, if you want to have a few people to join you, then you're going to get the benefit of host rewards. You're going to benefit from having some fun with some people that you enjoy the company of. You just invite the people that you like, and those that you think might be interested in a Thermomix, or you can see that they would potentially benefit from having a Thermomix. If you have a delivery at all, you'll get a 10% discount for the mix shop. Delivery with a couple of people there, a 20% discount for the mix shop. So, there's lots and lots in it for you. There's lots in it for us. Let's build that relationship and continue your learning. Make sure you get the most out of your investment and all the benefits that your Thermomix can offer to you. All right, if they have any questions, your consultant is always available to help you. I'm always available to help my customers. And yeah, we'd love to share that journey with you. There's lots of opportunities to continue learning both virtually and face-to-face with classes and things like that too. All right, so I hope to see you in person soon. Take care, everyone.